Shri Shri Ras Viharini Juki Jai, Day 103, Letter 40, Verse 18. Rajkishori Seva Trust reads, Shri Hari Raji Ke Bari Shiksha Patra. And where is the dust of the feet of those gopis from Vraj, and where the sweet and pure sound of them churning the butter? Now Shri Hari Raji asks, how can I find the dust of the lotus feet of the gopis of Vraj? Uddhav Shri Uddhav has stated in the Brahma Gita, "O let me be incarnated as any of the shrubs, creepers or herbs in the woodlands of Sri Vrindavan, so I might catch on my head the dust of the feet of these blessed ladies who have successfully trodden the path of devotion leading to Sri Krishna, which path is strenuously sought after by even the scriptures, by neglecting their own people as well as the path trodden by the virtuous, both of which are difficult for a chaste lady to abandon." Note: these gopis of Vraj were previously the letters and lines of the Vedas and other scriptures whose longing to see the object of their praises led them to this incarnation as the gopis. So here they have left behind the scriptural path and abandoned everything to take shelter in the love of Sri Hari. Revelling in this mood, Sri Hari Raji here he seeks the dust of their feet and bemoans his separation from it. In the early morning, the sound of ladies churning butter is very auspicious. The Srimad Bhagavatam again states, early in the morning, the gopis rise, light the lamps and tidy their homes and begin to churn the butter. As they pull the ropes, the bangles on their wrists, the belts around their hips, the jewelled necklaces on their chests and their dangling earrings all begin to swing and jingle. Their pink cheeks are shiny, their lovely forehead markings look bright. They shine more brightly than the lamps and the jewels. The sound of their voices as they loudly sing the praises of their lotus-eyed Lord mixes with the sounds of their churning the butter, and the sounds reach up to the heavens, dispersing all kinds of inauspiciousness everywhere. Shri Hari Raji is revelling in the mood of his longing to hear these sounds. Verse 19. "Oh, where is my physical connection to the sands of Sri Yamunaji and the touch of her waters? My heart is turned away from the Lord. How can I ever become one of his devotees?" Shri Hari Raji laments, where are the sands of the Sri Yamunaji and where are her waters, rendered nectar by the sweat arising from the Lord's supreme loving pastimes? I have no connection to either the sands or the water, a grain or a drop of which can grant a body qualified to directly enter the Lord's play. Sri Gosaiji has written in his Sri Yamunashtapadi treatise, "Oh, when will I be able to blissfully cover my body with the sands from your banks?" Shri Hari Raji, absorbed in the mood of these words, now experiences separation from all these Raja pastimes. He humbly submits. "I am turned away from the Lord, so how will I ever become an accomplished devotee? If I had devotional virtues, then I would find the association of other devotees through which my heart's love for the Lord would grow. I crave that association." Verse 20. "I am residing so far away from my Lord, the supreme bliss, it is not surprising that I am continually distressed. In the absence of anyone to help nourish the divine love in my heart, my attitude of surrender to Sri Mahaprabhuji is also lacking." In this path of grace, the forms of our Lord, who is the supreme bliss and replete with pure nectar, to whom the devotee offers service, are Sri Nathji, the Lord of Govardhan, the 7 forms of Sri Krishna belonging to the lineage members, Sri Vittal Nathji, and each devotee's personal deity. I am so far removed from these forms of my Lord, and this is why I am always sad. For one, I have no real love in my heart or feeling for him, and I also have no one to help me develop and nourish such love. Therefore I know that I do not have firm faith and refuge in Sri Acharyaji's lotus feet, another reason for my grief. Verse 21. "I am completely absorbed in sense gratification and hence have no knowledge with which to view the Lord. In fact, I am devoid of all devotional practice." Tika. Shri Hari Raji writes, "I am overtaken with worldly desires, therefore the Lord cannot reside in my heart." Sri Acharyaji has written in his Sannyasa Nirane Conclusions on Renunciation treatise, Sri Hari does not reside in the heart of the soul whose mind is absorbed in sensual pleasures. The Lord does not remain in the heart full of worldly desires. I am so full of such desires that I do not even wish to see the Lord. Why then would he ever enter into my heart? I have no devotional practice, so how will I ever cultivate and establish love for the Lord in my heart? If there were true devotional consciousness in my heart, then it might bring forth the realization of nisadhanta, or total lack of worthy spiritual practice, whence abject humility. However, I have no such consciousness, and thus my nisadhanta can only be attributed to my great impurities. Shri Hari Raji again self-examines. I have no devotion, and I am sitting here with no devotional practice. I have given up all worthwhile activity related to the Lord. My attitude and activity thus do not engender realization and humility, and in this state nothing can be accomplished. If a worldly person makes no spiritual practice, it can hardly be called nisadanta. I am exactly like that, full of attachment to the world, where total lack of any kind of God-related actions, like serving or remembering him, is in no way comparable to the elevated state of nisadanta. I have not developed any deep-rooted love for the Lord in my heart, which might transform my attitude, and so if I do no spiritual practice, that state cannot be called nisadanta, rather only impurity. Note to verse 22. A. When the heart is full of devotional love, then the realization of lack of spiritual practice leads to humility and the thought process, I am full of impurities, and follow no worthwhile godly path, so what will become of me? B. When there is such a lack of devotional love, as well as of good practice, then impurity ensues. Verse 23. How can it be possible for someone who is blind, deaf, dumb, and mad, who has no hands, is lame, and thus rendered powerless, to achieve anything? Tika 23. If the body is totally incapacitated, then it cannot achieve anything, whether worldly or spiritual. In the same kind of way, spiritual practice without loving intention and devotion in the heart is just false. How can a blind person see, a deaf person hear, a dumb person speak, a person with no hands grasp anything, or a person without feet walk? What can a mad person achieve? Excuse me. In this very same way, how can a person who has no loving divine sentiment in their heart and who is full of attachment to the world ever reach the rare state of deep devotion which is so hard to attain? Without such devotion, the ultimate reward of the path of grace cannot be attained. The great devotee, poet Surdas, has written, worship love-filled Krishna with the devotional sentiment of the gopis. Without such love, he will not accept as service your millions of acts and practices. The fire sages asked to be shown how to attain love for and with the Lord. They had to drop their male identity and completely turn round to worship in the feminine mood. In the intensity of their love, the gopis ran from their homes to meet Krishna with their clothes and ornaments all put on upside down. On a printing press, the letters are set in reverse, but become correct when printed. In this state of love, the rules of the Vedas don't apply. The poet Surya says, those clever gopis were able to captivate that enchanter, Krishna. So know, therefore, that only with deep devotion in the heart can anything be accomplished. I am totally devoid of such love, and thus can achieve nothing. Aaj ke Ananda ki jai. We pause here until tomorrow. Concluding today, verse 23. Shiva Bade ki jai. Sab Vaishnavon ko sadar, sadenya, sapremo, sananda jai Shri Krishna. Shri Shri Ras Viharani Ju ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Shri Hari Rai Ji ke Bade Shiksha Patra ki jai ho, jai ho, jai ho, jai ho, jai ho.